Well, this looks like another tough game. You know, it's like we talked about a week ago. I think all the conference games are going to be like this. We're looking at a very, very, I think, well-balanced offense, obviously geared toward the running game, but very effective passing the ball. They're, I think, the top pass efficiency team in the league, and they're leading the league in rushing. Gerhardt's leading the league individually in rushing. So it's a big chore because they run the ball so well, and then they get good stuff in the passing game off of it. It's a well-balanced looking offense. They've done a nice job formulating this thing through the years Jim has been there. And defensively, they're playing very aggressively. They have good people up front. They get a lot of mileage out of a four-man rush, and then you see a ton of zone blitzes after that. So you get a mixed bag there that you've got to be able to handle. And then you add their return game to all of this, and you've got a full game of stuff to get ready for. It's a good-looking football team.
Coach, watching game tape of Stanford, describe Gerhardt. What are your impressions of him? Well,
I think that he is physically talented. He's fast and powerful. He's got great upper body, and he couples that with really like nifty feet. You know, I mean, he's got speed, he's got power, and he's got quick feet. He just looks like one of those great all-around good-looking running backs to me. And I don't know who to compare him to, but I've seen somebody like that, probably in the Hall of Fame somewhere.
What do you remember most about last year's game in Palo Alto?
Well, I remember him pretty well. He had a good day, and then I think that from our standpoint, we weren't very efficient. I mean, we did a lot of good things in the game, but they did all the things to win it by being efficient. They didn't really throw very much, but they ran the ball well and didn't turn it over, and we did. That was probably the difference in the game.
Keaton Christic, how's Keaton doing?
What's that?
Keaton Christic, how is he doing?
Keaton Christic, I think, is doing fine. You know, we did yesterday, and I haven't gotten any results yet. Give him an MRI, but just to make sure. But I think, I talked to him. I think it was yesterday at lunch, and he was doing well.
How about your quiz? It looked like he twisted his leg.
He worked out and ran on Sunday. I think he's fine.
Mike, do you find it, you seem to be the leader of keeping calm in the storm over the years, and everybody looks to you, but do you find that challenging yourself? I mean, you come back with such a great effort and win against Arizona State, but everywhere else there's all kinds of tornadoes swirling.
Well, I think that I've got a great staff of teachers, and they take a lot of pride in looking at ways to help our team. And, really, that's our main purpose. No matter if we start fast, start slow, whatever it is, it's about the next game and about improving. And that's easier said than done, but I think we do it because our staff just continues to try to help guys, and I think our players have to have perseverance. And there's times you got to put blinders on and kind of pull inward, all that stuff. But I think it's nothing more than continuing to try to get better and making sure everybody's just doing that. And I think our staff is really, really good at that.
Do you make suggestions to them? Look, let's hunker down and don't pay any attention to what's on the outside, or let them handle it on their own?
Well, John, the first thing is we've been together a long time, and most of us have been through all this stuff like this before. The thing I appreciate is nobody panics. Everybody looks at our team, and I think the other thing that our staff does fairly well is look at the abilities of our players, and then as the season goes, really tries to enhance those abilities in the ball game. Make those things come alive, and so. They're cliches, but truly, if you can approach each week as life of its own and live in a vacuum for that week, you can have more fun with it. You don't have to bear too many burdens from the past, and we put ourselves in a position where we're not going to probably win the national championship, so we can just focus on this next game and try to do our very best. And I know that's a cliche, but if you can do it like that, it truly is more fun. And you can get a lot more out of the week, and then perhaps you can play your best game.
Mike, Harbaugh's worst fear has to be that you control the running game with Quiz and hurt him with the play-action passes, and it's in the reverse probably the same thing with you. We say it so many games, whoever establishes the run, but it seems like it's super critical in this game.
I think it's big time. I think that we could be. We're not to their level at this time running the football. But we could be mirrored images in that regard of what we'd like to be able to do and establish, and then how it all works together. Their efficiency in the passing game comes from the fact that the quarterback is a good one, and he's young, so we'll see him for a long time. But they also force teams in the box to try to stop that, so you get a lot of one-on-one passing, and he's hitting them, and he's got a favorite receiver in Whalen who is a nifty, smart, cagey kind of guy that gets open and makes plays. So they've got some really, really good weapons, and they use them very well.
So what are the key things you need to do to stop that running game? And a really good offensive line, huge. UCLA spent the whole week talking about how they were going to stop Earhart, and they couldn't.
No, and they have a tremendous will, and so we have to rely on our ability to get people to the football, and again, focus on what we need to do to stop the run within the scheme that we run, and then have as tight as coverage as we can. And when they do pass, try to do whatever we can to get some pressure. Those are all tall orders, because they run the ball so well, and they are good physical offensive line, and sometimes we see more than just the offensive linemen in there with six big guys, so it's a tall order. It is going to be a very similar thought process that we had to have a week ago about controlling the run as best we can, and then getting in passing situations and making something happen, both in coverage and in pressure.
Mike, you mentioned the return game a little bit. You guys have done pretty well against pretty good returners and had a good week against Arizona State. What have been the keys to covering those kickoff returns? And is Owusu a different challenge with three touchdowns?
He is. That's one of the best return teams that we've seen in a long time, maybe forever, because they block so well for them, and they are well coached in that aspect. And then the guy is very, very good. He's fast, and I think he's averaging 55 yards a return with 3 touchdowns in a young season. So, the thing that we have done well is we've made good choices, and we've played physically, and that's what kickoff coverage is about. You can't run around blocks and take bad angles and open up lanes. Everybody's got to be on the same page, reading the return and making the correct decision, and then playing physical from there. And that's what our guys have done. Bruce Reed does a great job of teaching how to defeat returns. It's easier said than done, however, and now we're facing our biggest challenge in that regard.
I guess the second part is they've jumped off to leads just with him getting that opening kickoff, and then they never give it up. Is this even more than normal, a team you don't want to get behind because of the way? I think they've only trailed a few minutes.
Well, I think that that has been their recipe. A good return game, physical offense, running the football, efficient passing, and getting the lead, and then playing. Their defense is much better than a year ago, more experience. Their coordinator's been there with them a year now, and they're growing under him. So, you know, I've seen an evolution of that entire team, not just what they do offensively, but how they're playing defense. And they're physical up front, and they can give you problems either with individual rushers or with a zone blitz scheme.